Hi, everybody. I'm Misty, and this week my friend Krista is here visiting me from California. Although she is originally from Texas, she now lives in San Francisco. And more importantly, this is her first time ever in England, in the UK, in London, and we did a lot this trip. We went to Edinburgh, bruh.
Edinburgh.
And then she did a weekend in York by herself exploring because I told her how great York was and that she had to
That's
go. She had the
amazing.
time. But welcome.
Thank you.
How's your trip been so far?
It's been amazing. Yeah, my first time in the UK in London, and I've just really been enjoying it. I'm one of those people that's watched a lot of BBC, and just have always wanted to come explore. So having that opportunity to do that it's been wonderful.
And oh, you can pull it up a little closer to your.
Oy,
I know,
like
just
that.
because it doesn't pick up as much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it has. You can just put it like almost in your
Not
nose.
I'm
It's
not
fine.
used to using the
She
full.
had her first sausage roll.
Oh my God. And since then I've probably had 6 or 7 sausage rolls. They were really good. Um, I'm really sad that I probably won't be able to get them in the States as well. But, and then this morning, or no, last night, I had my first crumpet, and I am a huge fan. And I'm really sad that starting tomorrow, I won't be able to just be able to get them at the grocery store.
Back to the American bread.
I
Yeah,
know that
it
those
won't be as
English
good.
muffins there, they're just garbage.
No, you can tell they're like Timu
They
crumpets.
really are. And I never knew that. And I almost like wish I was still in ignorance, but those crumpets, man, like you guys know what you're doing.
Well, I'd say so. One of the biggest stereotypes Americans who have never been here always talk about is that the food is bland. Everyone knows that the food in England's not great. But once you're here, that is not true at all.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I don't usually hear people come back and be like, oh my God, the food in the UK was amazing, except when they're talking about like Indian food or other different types of food. But one thing that I will say, I love, like, some of the things I really loved were those mashed peas,
Oh, mushy peas.
mushy peas. So good. I already said the sausage rolls were amazing. I'm not one that usually is into pastries or sweets, but I love savory things. And you guys have your minced pies and all these things, and they're just so good. Um, yeah, just I just have been enjoying different types of food, except for there's like some stuff that there's a lot of gravy. You guys love your gravy.
Oh, because we
Um,
did a Sunday roast
Sunday roast. Oh my God, that
on her
was
birthday.
I mean, yes, it was on my birthday. It was amazing. I got the biggest piece of pork belly, and it was so good. The vegetables, the parsnips, I never thought I'd be like just saying how good parsnips are, but yeah, they're so good. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff. And then it is bonkers here. I love coffee. I'm used to an auto drip coffee, but I actually am loving the fact that every place here is going to give you like an espresso, like cappuccino, like all these wonderful options. So that's also been really nice.
And a beautiful the fact that you can get half pints, which is something else I was surprised when I learned here.
Yes.
And I always tell my friends right away, like you can
Yeah.
do half pints. So she's been having half pints for lunch because that's what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do while you're here.
I've never been to so many pubs in my life, but I'm loving the culture. I'm not a beer drinker by nature, but I'm loving it. I don't know, just the
Oh,
cask,
Cascales, yeah.
those are so good. And yeah, I've been loving trying the different pubs, just the interiors, kind of taking in the scene, the locals that are coming in. Everyone's just really friendly, and everyone's just excited for you to be there, which is
That's a
the
really
best
good way to
part.
put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's just excited to show you their culture and
Yeah.
their life and like, their day to day, which
Yeah,
is
they get excited when I say I'd never been there before.
yeah.
They love that, especially in York and in Edinburgh. The minute that you say that this is the first time visiting, they're so excited to have you. Even those people
Yeah.
that aren't even from York, they're just excited that you're there. So it's been great.
Well, so we took the train up to Edinburgh. Um, it was a beautiful freaking train ride just through the greenery. And then there was one type of field that was flowering. So it was just big burst of yellow.
Oh,
Dang, all these. Look at that. You can see that plane.
oh my God.
It is a busy day for flights for some reason. So I hope
Yes, it's a
they
holiday
are
for
not.
you guys, but wow,
Yeah, right. And it's a little cloudy, but that plane looked
please,
very low. Oh, there
that's
was a
low.
little cat over there. He just went that way. Yeah, we took the train up. The fields of yellow are gorgeous, and then once you get closer to the city, you're on the coastline.
Yeah, seeing the water,
Yeah, but
it's
it was both our first
beautiful.
time at Edinburgh. We went to Edinburgh Castle, which
Yes,
was
that was
amazing.
that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
And then some of the churches, because I love seeing the churches. But the uniqueness of how every building was stone.
I love just, I mean, it had so much history. I'm not used to just walking around and everything being historical. I mean, even the pubs or the streets, there's always a plaque saying, what year something was built in and kind of the history behind it, who maybe had dined at that pub or who, had had a moment or some special moment in any of those buildings. But it
Yeah,
was just incredible. Like, it's just so natural. People walking their day to day. You see modern building next to like a castle, and it's
800-year-old building.
yes, it was breathtaking. It was really, yeah, it was wild.
And the parts I thought was interesting of Edinburgh Castle was how different parts of the top were built at different times. Like the
Yeah,
cathedral in there, or the small church, not even really a cathedral, was the oldest, first built
yeah,
um, place on top. And then the original castle was pretty, but the World War I memorial, that
that
was
was really powerful. I mean, and it was, you go in and just knowing that there's all these books of names everywhere and just the impact. It was really kind of a solemn place to where you wouldn't think that kind of your emotions would get, kind of started a little bit, but it was really beautiful, and people just have just so much respect for it when they're inside and
Mhm.
just taking it all in. I
And
yeah, I
there
really
were no
appreciated that.
photos or videos allowed in it
Yeah,
either, which, yeah, once you're
made
in
it
there,
better, I think.
it was hard not to like tear up. All the books
Yeah,
of different soldiers that died from various countries helping. There's a whole book on just the
yeah.
Canadians, and the style was like very almost like art deco. Like I don't even know how
Yeah.
to explain it, like mixed with old style, but
I
it was
I couldn't even
beautiful.
explain it. It's like all these plaques everywhere. Just the grandeur of it made it really powerful. And I like the fact that you couldn't take any video or anything in there because people
Yeah,
are literally there and just there in the moment for it. Um,
I
yeah,
agree.
I appreciated that kind of environment.
And Edinburgh was far more hilly than walking around London.
Oh, yes, yes. And our hotel is at the bottom of a hill.
Every
Um,
night.
But honestly, it was great because again, I've never drank so much beer in my life as I have in the last few weeks. So I did not mind walking off all the half pints that I kept drinking.
And we crammed a lot and we left on a Tuesday, got back on a Thursday, and then
Oh,
she left for York on Friday morning and got back
yes.
yesterday. So what were your, because that was the reason I went to York. So many of my followers suggested you have to go see Yorkshire. There's still so many places I need to see in
I
Yorkshire.
know.
So when she asked about it, I was like, yes, you have to go. What was your favorite place in York to check out?
My favorite place by far was Clifford's Tower. I, I don't even know how to describe it. Just seeing it in a distance and then coming up to it, and it's just being up there, you can really put yourself back in time. It's literally bringing yourself back in time, and I love that they make it so accessible how they have it set up. You're walking in, but it's not just that, you're going up a level and exploring like the little chapel area, the I don't know what they call it, the toilets, that
The King's
the
toilets, yeah.
king's toilets and stuff like that, which is fun. Yes, we should honor those. We should honor those areas. But you just have so much access to the tower itself and to really just enjoy and take your time. They limit the amount of people that are up there at a time. The views are just incredible, and you can see like the wall around the city. It's just, I don't know, I being there and exploring and really just taking your time, and the way that they have it set up with the different like audio recordings that you can listen to on your phone. I don't know, it was great. They have it set up in a nice way. You don't feel overwhelmed when you're there. um
And
yeah, it was my favorite.
like what you're saying too, that you can really interact with those spaces here, where
Yeah,
I think if you were in the States, if anything, was that old there, it would be roped off. You definitely wouldn't be able
yeah,
to touch it or just explore.
yeah. Like, I mean, even as something simple, which they have like a fireplace and you can like stick your head in the fireplace
I
and look
did
up.
that too. I stuck my head
Yeah,
in the fireplace
yeah.
because I wanted to see up to the
Where
chimney.
normally, like, it's roped off and you can just see the semblance of maybe a fireplace. And we're all curious beings. Do I need to look up in the fireplace? No, but it's still
Is it
pretty
the
cool to
same
see.
style of fireplace?
Yeah, I just want to, and then it was fun because there's bunch of pigeons that live in there.
Oh yeah, there are a
Yeah,
ton of pigeons
I
that
don't
live
know
in
why. I
there.
like loved that. I felt like it was just like it added so much character and just kind of again back in the day, I'm sure that there were birds flying everywhere and getting in, and
It
it
still had
just
a
kind of
roof back in the day
added.
too,
Yeah,
before
it had a
the
roof.
gunpowder explosion.
Yeah, that Clifford's Tower went through a lot,
Still
but
standing.
I don't know. I thought that that was fun. I was like, these pigeons have no idea that they're having such a great life living in
Yeah,
this
I didn't think
medieval
about it
tower.
that way.
Yeah,
These pigeons are
these
living
pigeons, like,
rent free
yeah,
in a castle. What the
living a
heck?
good life. These pigeons, yeah.
Beautiful sunroof.
I know. God.
And then you did the river tour while in York too.
Yeah, that was really nice. I just had a night to kill. I knew that it was going to start raining. And so I honestly was just, I was exhausted, tired, but I still didn't want to be just cooped up in my hostel. So I saw that they had river tours. I checked online and just booked a quick ticket and hopped on, and it's an hour. They just play like kind of soft, relaxing music. And you can see the sunset as you're going. Like, I mean, it's brief. It's only an hour, so it's like 30 minutes one way. They turn around 30 minutes the other way. But it was just kind of a perfect last night in York.
And less walking.
Less walking, and oh
After all
man,
this.
I walked a lot. I went to the Shambles a few times, which again, I loved it. Oh
It's so fast. The shambles are just adorable and
my
really
god.
make you feel like you're taken back to that
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
period in a way that nothing else
It
does, I
was
feel like.
wonderful. Yeah, I loved it.
And the
It was
jettying
great.
of buildings, like with that second layer, second level, or what would be first level here, because also the states do that different. How we do first, second level
Oh, it's like
is
the
different.
yeah,
They do ground level, then
first,
first.
second. Yeah,
So I'm always having to make sure I don't mix that up
I get that
anymore.
mixed up too.
But that little jettying thing, there's nothing comparable,
No.
even in our oldest cities, that have that. And it's
Yeah,
so unique feeling like you're being almost like swallowed
it was
by the
great.
street.
Yeah, I mean it. I mean, because some of the buildings in the Shambles are so close up top, you could like shake
Yeah.
hands with like your neighbor across the street.
Convenient
Um,
passing, you can pass beer to your neighbor.
yeah,
Be
yeah,
very convenient. Or
that's
I
good.
guess since it's a shambles, maybe like steak. You can
Steak,
pass meat
yeah,
to each
yeah.
other.
If families live across, like the crying baby, just like pass them over. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is her last day here, and we're going to do Chinatown because she's got to get some delicious dumplings. After like 8 sausage rolls, we got to change it up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And then we haven't even walked by Victoria Tower and Parliament yet, so we're going to try to hit all that stuff on the way back. But what would you say was what surprised you the most about being here when it comes to the people?
I love how diverse it is here. I mean, people from every walks of life, even like, I mean, I'd even dare say religions in every way, shape, or form here. And I just love it that everyone is just enjoying their life here in London or in Britain, in the UK, wherever I've seen them. And that's fantastic. Hearing all the different languages every five
Hearing the
minutes I'm going down the
languages.
street, it's just, I love it. It just puts a smile on my face. Not even the different languages, the different accents. I've been really enjoying. Um, but yeah, it's just, I mean, there's such beauty and history in these cities that I've been able to visit while I've been here, and it's just ingrained in everyone. And whether you are from this area or not, you really become knowledgeable and ingrained with like the history of where you're standing. And I
Yeah.
think that's really amazing. Like you don't really get that much. I mean, United States, we're obviously a newer country, not with as much history as this place, but it's just people get excited about knowing the history of where they're standing. So
And
that's nice.
so I did a video a couple months ago talking about that difference that you don't see it in the States. And a lot of people
Yeah,
commented that there are, yes, we do know there are thousands of years of history of the Native Americans, but what we're discussing is the visualization of seeing it, because so many of those, other than like the adobe buildings in like Arizona stuff,
yeah,
there's not long-standing brick buildings where you can get those visual reminders of it. Unfortunately,
yeah.
it would be nice. So it's not that we don't forget it, it's just that visually it's not there in the same way that you see it here.
It's true, and I mean, I think also it has to do with kind of revisionist history.
Absolutely.
Um, I mean, I grew up in Texas, and uh, you know, I'm Mexican by background, and it probably wasn't until college when I took Mexican American history courses that I actually got a wider view of the history that I was being taught. in elementary and in high school and middle school and things like that. There's just a lot left out. And I think the biggest part that's left out is the history from the perspective of those that probably suffered the most,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to, indigenous communities. And I think that's the hard part. When you realize how much you're missing, um, you're just like, man, I wish I would have purposely known about this earlier in life.
It
Because
changes your
it
perspective.
does, because it's also, especially with the Mexican American history, that's history of like my background and my people and my family. And it's incredible. And you just can get pride out of these these people that came across the country and just changed in a lot of different ways, as all the immigrants do. But it's something to be proud of. Like, I don't know, the ups and the downs of a country, it's really how we learn and make ourselves better. Um, so yeah, it's interesting here when people discuss the ups and downs of their country and the things that they don't agree with, the things that
It's
maybe
valuable.
they did wrong, and then what they got right. And it's
And what they learned from.
yeah, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing.
Yeah, I feel the same way about here. I've noticed that too. There's no pretending bad things didn't
No one's
happen.
offended when you say, "Oh,
No, it's just the
my
truth.
country screwed up on this." Like that, yeah, no one's
I
offended on
the
that.
phrase I've heard here too is they don't need the American dream because they're awake.
I've never heard that.
I
That's brilliant though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that was a really good way
that's brilliant. Yeah,
to put it. And the irony of living in Texas and not getting Mexican history because Texas was
I
Mexico.
know. I know. Yeah, yeah, and there's still so much to learn, but it's different now, especially, what things that are going on in the States. There's a lot of things being erased from history books, especially when it comes to, the background of African Americans and our history with
Hmm.
slavery, and then especially with any kind of impact that immigrants, whether they're black, brown, whichever color, like kind of impacted. Those are being taken out of not only history books, but literally like plaques at museums
Hmm.
and areas. Like I went to a bunch of national parks in the past, and a lot of the plaques that I've seen are probably not there anymore because they've been taken away if they have any reference to people of certain color, race, or ethnic background, and those have been removed.
Yeah,
So it's really sad because I have young nephews and they're going to be learning their history through schools and things like that, and
it's
you know
important history to
it's
learn.
important
It's cute.
history. It's
Like,
their history too.
yeah,
So it's I don't know. I'm really hoping that we kind of get back to uh, a different style in the future.
true
Yeah.
history
Yeah.
education. I will say, I guess on the flip side, it's like while the internet has a lot of negative things, at least even them taking plaques down and changing textbooks, the information can still be found. It's not the
It
same as
can be
like burning all
found.
the books. There's
It is true, but I think what is the hardest thing to reconcile is those that need to hear the history
Yeah,
that won't get the history from their parents or from the bubble that they're in, and they won't learn about history of people that are not like them.
right, right. Oh, let's hold for this giant plane again. I'm
They knew
curious to
they
see
knew
what
what I
the
was
sound
talking about.
looks
Yeah.
like. Yeah, right. It's Trump going
Yeah,
overhead
I
right
know. I'm like,
now.
oh no, he
Oh,
saw me.
Pete Hegseth's going to get
I
us.
know.
Nah,
Hide in
he's
a
too
second.
busy being drunk. He's not going to
Yeah.
fly here.
but but yeah, I think like one of the when you constantly are talking to people that think like you and are like you, and you don't really learn as much,
No,
especially from their perspective. So for those that need to learn about Mexican history, about immigrant history, African American history, Native American history, if their family or bubble or circle of friends are not just innately interested or wanting to discuss that,
right. You have to
they may
seek it
go their
out.
whole lives, which we see now. There's individuals that
So many have.
obviously were not raised with learning about different variations of people aside of themselves, and so that's dangerous. It
Very.
puts more danger because if you're in a
People
school
fear
and
the
they're
unknown.
teaching things that you didn't know, that's how you learn and how you get exposed. And if schools aren't able to do that with kids, it's nerve-wracking.
It's not a good foundation to set
No,
set up for the future.
it's a little scary.
I've noticed here, like, they don't shy away also from their involvement in slavery. Like,
Yeah,
up in
I did
Manchester,
notice that.
they
Yeah.
have the Slavery Museum. A lot of the streets were named after the people. the rich what people who funded the slave ships. So while they weren't directly
Hmm.
trading, they were profiting off the cotton, and their
Yeah.
abolitionist movement moved, and obviously they banned acting with slavery
Yeah, and there was a ban, like
much
people were trying
sooner.
to like not use sugar and things like
Hmm.
that to try to just find different ways to battle it if they could. And um,
But they don't pretend they
no,
weren't involved in it. That is, I think, is the biggest part is Americans, yeah, for the most part, especially in the regions we're from, families who generationally and
yeah,
not that long ago, would have slaves because it could be our great great
no, it
grandparents at this
people
point,
think it's so long ago, but
and it
it's
was
it's
not.
really not. I mean, yeah, I mean, I have friends who, yeah, their grandparents, great grandparents were products of slaves, and it's
Hmm.
I don't really know why we have such a fear, or maybe not. I'm not saying for all Americans, but what the trend is currently now is people having fear or having too much pride to acknowledge the things that we learned from. Like I
Too
don't,
much pride.
yeah,
It's
I don't
shame
understand
and
that.
embarrassment, so they just don't I think hear people talk about things that are uncomfortable without getting worked up or angry. They're just facts.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, if you make a mistake or you feel shame, it's a weakness, and people don't want to show weakness.
Yeah, and I think that's different certain types of weaknesses, right? Like I think that I'm seeing there's so many different spectrums of the different types of individuals that I've seen. Like I have seen lately a really big embrace on, especially with men wanting to be more in touch with like what weaknesses, what is success, like what are these different things, and we're able to openly talk about that more. And then on the other side of the spectrum, it's very much of like, well, this is X, Y, and Z, this is the allowable mistakes, these are the
Hmm.
mistakes that we can talk about, these are the mistakes that will give you more shame, whether you're a man or a woman. So it's weird, it's like there's I kind of been constantly saying in the middle of this um, healing and diversity, but then at the same time the complete other end of the spectrum on it, which is really trying to grasp onto, I hate saying the traditional values because I
Right.
just think that's
Yeah. Whose
insane.
tradition?
Yeah, but but it's interesting, so I see just like, and I'm waiting for them to meet in the middle and see where that goes. But historically it's always been the case, there's always been,
It's
it's always stemmed from something else,
Yeah.
right?
Red team, blue team. It's
Yes,
never.
extreme conservatism, like, and then it goes into like something that's like, I guess what's considered very liberal or different. That it's, I don't know, it's an interesting time right now.
It's a lot of growing pains because
A lot of
America's
growing
kind of
pains, a lot of growing pains.
preteen years. If you were to look at it
Yeah,
timeline wise, it's rebelling from mom and dad, and it's not
yeah.
listening and it's just touching the oven instead of
Touching the,
learning from history's lessons. And this kind of behavior never works out well
yeah.
for people, but it all comes full circle, and it usually
It'll be
ends well.
lessons learned, honestly.
Hopefully learned, not repeated. America is
Mm,
very bad about doing their homework.
we are, but I think I hope that there's nowhere to go but up.
That
um,
is true.
yeah, and and I don't know. I just it's crazy. I mean, me as a millennial, you know, obviously I'm not a baby boomer. I haven't seen like all the different changes in this world, but there's been significant ones in my lifetime. And so it'll be interesting to see what the generation, even just the generation like below me,
Same.
will reflect and see what these times were, like how they'll interpret it, or how
Yeah.
the kids that they grew up or were born in COVID,
Oh
what they'll
yeah.
look back on and take of this and compare it to history. It's like, will they see these trends, like these historical trends, and be like, wow, they just kept repeating themselves even through COVID. And
Yep.
um,
I mean, it was no different than the
yeah,
Spanish flu, which they call it that. It just says
it wasn't
no,
even started in Spain.
no, and all
I thought
studies
that
to
was
like the DNA
fascinating.
of it now, they think it actually came from a swine farm in Kansas behind a military base, and then once the U.S. started sending troops for World War I, we
Yeah,
spread it, and then and it was only called that because Spain was the only
only
country
one
to
to
report
report
on.
it. Yes, I
Hmm.
did learn about that, which I thought was fascinating.
No one teaches you that in school at first. It just
Yeah, and
has that
Spanish flu.
name.
And yeah, I love that little piece of information. I don't have as much historical knowledge as this one here, but so I was really happy to know that. I was like, Spanish flu is not actually in Spain.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah,
But there's still pictures of people during that time because they had masks, and there's still
yeah,
people protesting that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess Same
Yeah.
thing. At least there's some comfort in routine.
Yeah. I mean, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be really interesting to see this youngest generation. I think about that a lot as like young Americans because if you're 18, you've kind of only known this incredibly heavy discourse. But we remember a time when you could still be around people of each party, and people still
Yeah.
can be, but it it wasn't the topic of conversation. Nobody sat around and
No.
talked about politics. You talk about whatever sports,
Yeah.
or movie is blowing up or book like TV show. There were a million other things to talk about. Now it is like just that's it. It's exhausting to
It
have
is
to hear
really
about.
exhausting. And again, from Texas, like people, whether it's friends or family, different walks of life, you know, I've always been still close to people that maybe have different political views than me, and I don't have a problem with that. I feel just as passionate about the views that I have as they do with theirs, and I think it's been great to have like certain friends or even family members that we just show the love to each other. We don't get into politics, and I know that some people may find that of like, well, that's that even healthy to do, of like, well, you're not talking about, you're like ignoring it. It's really not that. I just think that dividing us so much to where we can't even be in the same room with each other, and we forget about kind of what our common affection is with each other and the importance of each other. I think that there's no benefit of us separating ourselves more. So,
I can see that.
um, and also, just as I hope that they learn more about me, and like, I don't really consider myself a crazy liberal, but I'm more liberal, I guess, than some. I like hearing their perspective of things and hearing like what.
How they got from A to B on
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, because everyone's journey and exposure is different, and so it's wild. Like, yeah, there's some people I genuinely disagree with. Like, we probably will never ever agree on the same thing politically,
Yeah.
but um, but they'd still be a friend or a family, and because we have just a beautiful history with each other, and just
Hmm.
and I think that should always be important because, I mean, life is short, and who knows what next year and the next few years is going to bring. Maybe we'll be on
Yeah.
the same side of history. I have no idea, but yeah, I
It's
don't know.
always evolving,
It is
always changing.
exhausting though.
Yeah, it's just the exhausting
It's
part.
exhausting.
It
Every
gets
time my
very
phone
tiring.
Washington Post comes on my phone, I'm like, oh God, what
Oh
now?
god.
Like
Yeah,
what?
right. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
like shit.
I feel like being here too, the biggest problem, like what you were saying, is the divide in America. But I feel like the government, since the beginning, I mean, there were the Whigs and a couple other parties, but for the past 100 years, it's been relegated to two parties. And
Mm,
how can you end
yeah.
up with anything other than one versus two when you don't allow other parties to gain control? Whereas here, there's multiple parties in parliament. Like, yes, there are two major parties, but there are still other parties that have seats. That's not the case. You might see one independent in Congress,
Yeah, and that's been interesting too. I um did work in DC for a long time. And getting to learn more about like the congressional system and things like that. It really is bizarre that we are only two parties. And the independents are slowly growing traction, and moderates, but again, like, we are just strictly two parties. You really are one or the other. And God, I really hope that changes. I mean, I really do. It doesn't make sense. It creates more divide. It's especially with how far apart these two, these like Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans that, even when I was working in DC, they're not the same Republicans that they are
they're not the same
now,
ones we
right?
grew up with at
No,
all.
no, no, not the same ones that I grew up with, whether in my family or it's very difficult to put everyone into different boxes when there's just such a wide array. And I think it's more stressful. It makes no sense to
Unnecessarily
have two
stressful.
parties. it,
Hmm.
it really doesn't. Any other country that has more than two parties, they're not suffering because they're a two part, like, they have
Right.
more than two
But
parties.
they
It's
also
been
don't have
beneficial.
the electoral college,
Oh, that's been
which
fun. Yeah.
really like sets us up for being stuck in that system
Yeah.
where you can't really blend anymore. And the same with, like Bernie Sanders was an independent but had to run on one of the two major party tickets to
Yeah.
even be seen, which is frustrating. But I want to talk about your time in DC.
Oh, yeah.
How many years were you in DC?
I was there for 6 years.
Yeah. What was
Yeah,
your favorite? Because it's I think the most similar to a European city layout because it was very
it
intentionally
is.
built
It is.
and the only place with free museums.
Yes. Oh my God, I loved my time in DC. It's probably one of my favorite cities. Similar to here, everything's very, very walkable. The metro system is really good. You just have access, free access to all these amazing museums, these historical sites. And it is really crazy. It never ceased to amaze me when I'd just be walking home from work and I'd be like walking near the White House and it's like, oh, where are you at? Oh, okay, by the White House. Meet me over here by the bar. It's just so natural. While people here like, oh yeah, I'm right by, Big Ben or,
Yeah.
it's just, um, a lot of history, a lot of pride there. I love how transient it is. People from like no one's really from DC, at least, not many people that you meet. Everyone is from a different area. Everyone is eager to meet people and to network and to, learn, and everyone's just excited to be there. And yeah, the landscape of it is actually very similar. It's very flat, similar to here. And yeah, so it's been fun navigating through here because it does remind me a lot about DC, just how it's structured and yeah, that European style.
And the one place with stone buildings because they do
Lots of
always
stone
make fun of the
buildings.
fact that
Yeah.
Americans build with wood. And I did watch that little documentary on how that ended up happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't always it makes sense in the
Yeah.
West where you have earthquakes to have a
Yeah.
flexible house, you know.
Yeah. Just can go with the flow. Yeah.
Yeah, right. A little wave
Oh
with
no, in
it.
DC I loved it. I love the streets that have like cobblestone
Uh,
still and all the row houses that are like made of stones, and oh,
yeah.
I just love it. Yeah.
The row houses
It's beautiful.
it something about that, especially when you see it as a kid, it just like it sticks in your brain. I don't
Yeah,
know why, but it just seems and looks magical.
it does.
I think it's that like being able to interact with your neighbors very easily, for good or bad,
Yeah.
but like mostly good. I feel like that's always like
Yeah.
sitcoms you
Growing up in
see that.
Texas in a house, you're just a house, like you don't share a wall with your
And sometimes you're miles from
a
a
neighbor.
neighbor.
Yeah. Um, so I've been loving living in cities, and whether it was DC, now I'm in San Francisco, but I've been really loving having the neighborhood
Yeah.
aspect of it. It's been great.
I like that aspect here
Yeah.
too. And people when I first moved here said that like people don't really talk to their neighbors here. That's not been my experience at either place I've lived at.
Yeah.
And first place I was at, one neighbor was a native Brit. The other was a lawyer from. Yeah, well, funny. Yeah, I've lived by two lawyers now, like from like I think Eastern Europe, and then my neighbor here now. One is from Mexico, one's from
Oh yeah.
Romania. I know he's been busy. I wanted you to meet them because they're super amazing. They live right across the hall, but
Love it.
they were on a trip because here you can go on trips because you actually get vacation days and
Oh
everything's really close to like it's a 45-minute to fly to mainland Europe. It makes it a lot easier because they also always talk about how Americans don't leave the country often, but
yeah.
it's a big
I mean, we have a
undertaking.
yeah. It's a big old country too. I mean, I'd say I love traveling, but most of my traveling, especially solo traveling, has been domestically in the States. I've explored a lot of the western part of the U.S. And there's just a lot to see. I mean,
What would you say was your favorite national park to visit?
oh God, I've been to a lot of national parks. That's for sure. Bryce Canyon in Utah was incredible. Just the structures there, you feel like you're in Mars or something. It's very a different world, and I loved that. Um, and there was a few others that I really enjoyed. Moab, again, that all the ones in Utah, I felt like you were in a different world.
Utah was stunning. And we were in Utah together. She did do more, but I was there for a little bit. Because how we know each other is my husband went to high school with her brother.
Yeah, or middle school, I think it was.
I think, yes. Oh, yeah, it was middle
Middle
school. And then
school,
they went to different high
yeah.
schools, but they've still been friends
Yeah.
all these years later in Texas.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, long time ago. So yeah, her
That was the
husband's
first
known
time
me
we
since I was
met.
like 6, which
Yeah.
is a scary thought.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
crazy how fast time goes on
I
that stuff,
know.
though.
I
But
know.
that's the first time we met was in the Utah trip.
That's
Yeah,
right.
because we
Oh
went with
my
Vic and
God.
Janae, and
Yes.
we all got the big
I was a
Airbnb.
digital nomad for 3 months, and my launch point was in
Oh, was
Zion.
that was your first
That was my
stop?
lunch break. From there, I said bye to everyone. Everyone went home, and I went and continued for the next 3 months.
Which is wild. I do remember you talking about like your
Yeah,
whole planned out trip.
completely
She did all
forgot
these
you were there for
national
that.
parks.
Yeah, it
I
was
can't
fun.
imagine how amazing that was. And she took her little dog.
Yeah, it was just me and my dog in my tiny car. And yeah, had a tent that I would put up, or I'd get maybe a room Airbnb sometimes, or I'd stay with friends or family. But I think I visited about 7 national parks,
Oh
and
wow.
I was one that had maybe been to like two in my life. I was
Oh
not a
wow.
national park. I mean,
Connoisseur.
yeah, I wasn't even a camper. I mean, when I first slept with in that tent, it was probably the second time I'd even opened the damn thing.
I didn't know that
Oh
before
yeah.
you went on that adventure. I just assumed you like
Oh
grew
my
up
God, no.
camping.
Absolutely not. No, my family's not campers. Um, but I don't know. I just had this in me where I was like, you know what? I'm done waiting for maybe the right person to travel with or the right time in my life. It just kind of things just started being where I just had this fire that I wanted to just go and explore all the places that I'm seeing maybe on Instagram and that I'm like, you know, like bookmarking. And it just I didn't want to be scared doing it as a female, as a single female, doing these different things. I just wanted to remember that I could and know that I could. And so, I mean, yeah, it definitely scared my parents to death, but they love talking about that, about how I did that, and it's just good to remember that you can do it. You don't have to wait for a partner to do it. You can do it. You can go and extend yourself beyond what you think is capable. And I think that was the best part. So it got me the bug to like
Keep
to
going.
travel more, which is why here I knew you guys were in London, so I was like, why not?
Come on
Like,
over.
yeah, like again, life is short. Let's do this.
And you did Morocco before you got
I
here. The week
did.
before, she rode a
Yes.
camel.
I rode a camel and oh my gosh, yeah. Met some great animals on this journey. Because in Morocco, I met a camel, and then in Edinburgh, we met a Highland coo. And
Yeah, I'm surprised you actually haven't talked about the
oh,
kuya
the
because that
coo,
was you
the
were freaking out
coo.
about the
Oh my
cute.
god,
It was really
I had been
cute.
saying, I think for the past year, like I want to scratch the chin of a Highland coo. Like that's like I'll die happy. I just really want to do it. I didn't think I was going to be able to, but I did. You weren't supposed to pet them, but I did. He put his head over the fence and he was just asking for it.
And he was
And it was
rubbing himself
there.
on the
We
fence. You could
made
get a
eye
scratch.
contact. And as I just literally went in for this chin scratch, it was like the heavens opened up. And
I have pictures. She was
yeah,
so happy.
my face was hurting and was sore from smiling. I
And you
love
kept
animals.
singing,
Oh my God, I was losing my
and you kept singing the little emo song because they
mind.
have the little swoopy
Yeah,
bang.
they have the bangs. So I kept thinking of, what was it? Yeah, 'cause tonight will be the night. Like, just
And it
thinking of
fits.
any emo song I could think of because
They really
they were
do look like cute little
they
emo
were so
cows.
cute. Yeah. So I'll never be the same. That's fine.
So, what would you say um, would be if you were telling people over here what their biggest misconception about America and Americans could be?
The biggest misconception that Brits have of Americans.
Yeah.
Um, oh God. Biggest misconceptions. Probably that we don't travel. Um, I think that so many Americans want to travel more. Sometimes it's just really hard to kind of get over here. But I think that we do love to explore. We are pretty loud and things like that. It's just sometimes it's really not out of rudeness. It's just because like we don't always know the different types of vibes or things that we're supposed to be like adopting or understanding in different countries and things like that. But um, I don't know, for Americans, it's such a big country. Like it's really hard to grasp something that is like cohesive American because even if you live like I'm Mexican from Texas. I'm very different than a Mexican from the Midwest or from the Northeast. It's just we have such this whether you call it a melting pot or a tossed salad or whatever it is that you want to call it. You get individuals that are not only very proud to be American as I am, but they're also very tied to their culture, like to my Mexican culture. So it's crazy when you meet Americans. Never just assume one thing or what their background is. You may be surprised that they have several layers to them. that you weren't aware of. And I think that that's kind of like the fun part. Um, yeah, I wouldn't assume the same thing about Americans. We have a lot of layers to us.
Like an onion.
A lot of onion layers, a lot of onion layers. So yeah.
What would you say the biggest misconception Americans have about England?
About England, other than their food being bad,
Yeah, yeah.
um, uh, probably they probably think that like maybe you guys don't like visitors or aren't as welcoming as you are, and yeah, that maybe stuck up or something because of some
The way the manners
posh
are.
accent maybe they hear, or I don't know, the manners. Um, but I definitely haven't experienced that. Everyone's been extremely welcome, and everyone, the sense of humor here is amazing. I just absolutely love it. It
So funny.
is the best, the dry humor. Um, yeah, but hopefully people will step out of their comfort zone and come, because I think it's been fantastic. I definitely want to come back. There's a lot more to explore. Yeah,
And the being able to just take public transit to everything. Whereas, like,
it's
if
the
you visit
best. Oh my
America, you
god,
have to rent a car to get
it's
around.
the best.
So that saves a
Yeah,
little money too, because you just tap in, tap out. You
yeah.
just can get
I
around
haven't
very
had to
easy.
get any money out from an ATM this entire trip in the UK.
That's a good point too. Yeah, because when you were first getting to the airport, you
Yeah,
asked if you should stop and exchange, and I
yeah.
was like, everything. I
I
don't even
couldn't
see
even
cash
tell you
taken anywhere.
what one of your pound things look like. I have no idea. I haven't seen cash. So
And now you like more beers,
yeah,
sausage
I like
rolls.
more beers.
Would you come back?
For the sausage rolls and crumpets, yes, absolutely. And I found myself liking English pale ales, so yeah, that'll also be
Big step.
on the list. Oh, and halloumi. You guys love
Oh
halloumi as
yeah,
much as I do. It's like, the thought of going back to a mozzarella stick,
doesn't hit
like
the
a fried
same.
mozzarella stick in the States, is really gonna be sad.
It's yeah, right. Like the halloumi
It's
fries are just,
yeah.
and every pub has them, and they're
I've like seen the light and I can't go back. So
the correct kind of cheese.
so good. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add on this, or we can wrap up because then we go get some
Um,
dumplings in
I know,
Chinatown.
I'm excited.
Speaking of food,
I'm excited. Um, Geez, nothing to add. I'd say I can't believe I go back tomorrow.
no,
It's been a few weeks since I've been home, but I mean, I am in love with the UK and with London. Edinburgh was amazing. It's still wild that I've been to three different countries in the
yeah,
last couple weeks, like Morocco being one of them. And I don't know, I'm just excited. It's going to be wild to go back to normal again, but I can't wait to come
plan out
back.
the
I keep
next
telling
trip.
Misty that I want to come back for like Christmas and holiday time. I want to so
I
bad.
tell her how
Yeah.
magical like everything is here for Christmas and the Christmas markets.
Yeah.
So, and it's not even that cold, really. It's not like Boston. There's not a bunch of snow. Like
Yeah.
it's perfect, magical. It can hold little mulled wine and walk
Oh
around.
my God. Just the thought of that.
So
It's
cozy.
wonderful. Yeah.
Places,
So
some of the
I'll
pubs
be
will have
back.
fireplaces going. It's perfect. So we'll have to do
So
that.
good.
And then we'll have to do part two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks for chatting with me in the park.
Of course.
We'll see you
Anytime.
guys next time. Oh, and if you liked this and if you have any questions or comments for Krista, leave them in the comments below and I will relay them to you and try to get you answers. But like, subscribe, do all that. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. And as always, a special thanks to my members. And be sure to check out the Tudor Yank store live now.